as smart as he usually is.
Brown drives, scoop layup off the glass.
It's not the first time we've seen a superstar in green and white sacrifice the body.
Garnett knocked away.
Welcome into another episode of First to the Floor. Ben Vallis here. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. We've got a pretty spicy one for you tonight. I think given where we're at in the offseason, there will be another classic edition of the Schadenfreude Report. We will be frothing over the Jays a bit because they are awesome and we love them so very, very much. There has been some roster news, some Gallo comments, so there's plenty to get to. Alongside me, as always, it's Mr. Wayne Spooney. Spooney, how you doing, man? Welcome back.
I'm doing good. Who cares about me, man? Come on. We got somebody else here who hasn't been on forever.
Well, Sam, we're very happy to welcome back the man with the mistress, Hot Take, Jake Eisenberg. Good to see you, Jake. Welcome back, man. How you doing? How's the jet lag?
Fellas, we're back.
Yeah.
The jet lag is full on. 40 plus hours to get back from the beach in Albania to the tip of the world in Tasmania, Australia. So rising the last 2 mornings has felt like my body weight is 10x what it usually is. But I get up, Ben's like, "You ready to upload these clips? Stream's ready to go." And I'm like, "You're damn right." Jumps out of bed, steaming shower. No, we're good. We're feeling good. We're excited. Honestly, just to start it off, like I tried to tap in where possible across the off season, but I listened to the last one or watched the last one on the balcony in Albania and to get myself hyped up. And I just wanted to say, like, this podcast is great. Like, I clearly am biased here, but if you're listening to the podcast, I'm sure you at least somewhat agree that this is a pretty good show. But I was like listening, and I was legit proud to be part of the crew, and I was looking out into the horizon, just getting hyped up to talk about the Jays, the Celtics, and be back with Spoonie and Ben, the fellas, and Jackson and Joe. So yeah, I'm stoked. I'm ready to roll.
I love it, man. You're too kind. I was wondering why those Albania numbers in the analytics were popping up there. So very glad to see that you enjoyed the pod while we were. What was the highlight of your trip?
I think it was Albania, getting to the mountains in a little town called Teth. Hiking 4 or 5 hours a day into some places called like the Blue Eyes Lagoon, Valbone. Really, really fun. And I was saying to Spoonie before we hopped on, it kind of feels like I got there before tourism's really hit it. Like they have enough infrastructure to support a little bit of tourism, but it's I feels like 5-10 years before it really, really ramps up. A lot of like half-finished buildings, half-finished restaurants. So that was really cool. And like, I'm a big hiker and nature person, and the mountains there were pretty spectacular up in the Albanian Alps. So that's definitely the highlight for sure.
Yeah, I noticed you saw Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown sort of frolicking around the mountains there. The goats.
Dude, so many goats. Tom Brady, Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum. I didn't get too close because I did see some goats fighting from the balcony, just like doing that. Like they get up high and then come down low, headbutt each other. So I was careful not to go too close to the Jaylens and Jaysons of Albania, but just close enough to get some good content for the timeline.
The Marcus Smart goats out there taking charges.
yeah. The Derek White goat just leading the goats in blocks.
Yeah.
Wearing a Memphis jersey, doing a double take.
No.
Now, look, we're obviously very, very happy to have Jake back and the crew back together. And, you know, obviously shout out to Joe and Jackson and the full crew there on, I was going to say the Celtics Reddit podcast, the First of the Floor podcast. Right. Before we get to it, and if you're not about housekeeping, if you're a podcast listener, fast forward 30, 45 seconds here, some housekeeping. We've got some asks of you, the listener. First of all, mailbag cues. You can get us at firstofthefloor18@gmail.com or in the YouTube comments or Twitter or whatever. We want your mailbag questions. I think we're finally getting to the point where we have the confidence to ask listeners. Like, we think we've got a big enough listener base to ask for mailbag questions. Let us know. It's the off season. We need topics. We need questions. Let us know what you've got, and we'd be more than happy to address those on the podcast. Also, next week, we're hitting trivia. We're starting round one of trivia with the First of the Floor crew. And then we're going to bring in some of our Celtics media friends for this trivia segment, which will hopefully last a couple of weeks and bridge the gap between now and media day. Let us know your trivia question ideas, your trivia segment or category ideas. We've been running trivia off and on for the last few years, and like you do start to exhaust ideas after a little while, so your input would be greatly appreciated. Also, we're cutting up a new intro for the podcast. Marcus Smart, he features heavily in the intro. While we want to keep him around, we kind of need to shift the focal point a little bit. So if you've got any ideas for like First of the Floor style gritty clips from Celtics history, let us know. We'd love to hear your suggestions there. Also, playback. If you're not part of our playback room, playback.tv/First of the Floor, where we have watch parties, usually for live games. During the offseason, between now and when the season starts, we're going to hold a couple of watch parties for legacy games and a few options here. So League Pass has watchable games going back to like 2007. For example, a good option there would be Isaiah Thomas's 53 points on the Wizards in Game 3 in the 2017 playoffs. Also, any full game on YouTube is also streamable from a watch party perspective. So the Celtics comeback against the Nets in 2002, that's on YouTube. That'd be a great option as well. If you've got any suggestions for games that we should watch as part of a watch party, let us know as well. You can find us, like I said, at firstofthefloor18@gmail.com, which is in the comments there. Thanks to whichever one of you guys did that. You can also get us at First of the Floor on Twitter, at WSpoony if you want to hit up Spoony, or at Jake Eisenberg as well. And finally, Thursday night, Green runs deep. Celtics superfan, social media influencer, all around good guy. I've only ever had extremely positive reactions with this guy. He's coming on the podcast Thursday night. That's going to be live here on our YouTube channel. So check that out. Okay, let's get into the meat of this podcast and some news that broke between last night when I finalized the run sheet and today when we're starting the podcast. Shams has this report. The Boston Celtics have waived guard/forward Justin Champagnie, sources tell The Athletic. Champagnie was signed to a multi-year deal out of the NBA G League last season. Now, some details here, guys. Brad Stevens, he had to make a decision on Champagnie because he was not on the roster, or if he was on the roster after today, I should say, then he was guaranteed $50K, a nice chunk of change there. So we'll get to some cap implications in a second, but Jake, you're fresh, you're back from Albania. I want to throw to you first for your take on the waiving of Justin Champagnie as we get straight into the offseason deep cuts here.
I'm sure Justin Champagnie's a great guy. It's unfortunate that Brad wasn't able to finagle his twin brother onto the roster. He seems like the superior. I will say, because he is a twin and my PTSD from the conference finals, I'm just like, he better not end up on the Heat and just turn into, because like the idea of Champagnie was good, 6'6", scoring guy, but he was really bad. I thought pretty much every time he stepped on the court for the Celtics, both in garbage time and in summer league. Like I was screaming at my iPad at 6 a.m. in England, and being like, can we get Champagnie off the court here? He's just taking up shots for Walshy. I thought it was a pretty rough showing for him in summer league, outside of one game when Channing Frye thought he was an absolute legend. Because I love the way that he rebounds. I'm like, Channing,
his own misses.
Yeah, his own. This was the correct decision for sure. And now they have $4.19 million to offer to free agent X at some point in the future.
Yeah, he's I may have said this before, but I'm going to reuse a joke because, why not? I don't remember saying it, but he's like, if you used to be able to pick your like play style in 2K, and if you picked like all arounder, you were like a 65 who was just not terrible at anything, but also good at absolutely nothing. That's Champagnie.
It's the wrong approach.
He'd probably be like a superstar in, Europe or something like that. But he's just not, none of his skills are an NBA level skill. Maybe wide open threes, but that's obviously not going to be enough. He's just like, he's not horrible at anything, but he's not good at anything. And when you're looking for deep role players, you want extreme strengths and weaknesses, because it's like, okay, then I know you're a great offensive rebounder. All right, this game calls for a good offensive rebounder. We'll put you in. You're an elite 3-point shooter like Sam Hauser. You can build like your offensive skill around elite 3-point shooting. He's just like meh at everything, and there's just not really a role for that. And I'll be interested to see what we do with two open spots and a little bit of wiggle room under that apron, and things getting a little spicy. And Brad, ruthless, doesn't even hit this guy up with $50K, which is like nothing in NBA money. Yeah.
Well, that's the second apron. Every dollar counts. Every $50K counts. So like you said, Spoonie, 2 standard roster spots now open. Please, Blake Griffin, consume one of those spots. And there's that one 2-way spot remaining as well. We've got the $6.2 million traded player exception, and like you said, Jake, 4.19 mil under that second apron. Now we're already a wiggle under that apron, and now we've just got a little bit more wiggle room. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't necessarily think that this is indicative of like an imminent move. It was just more along the lines of that deadline of saving 50K. And like we said, every dollar matters. Anything else on, like, do we need to do the farewell? We probably don't, right?
No. My biggest memory from Champagne is Miami Heat Celtics game 5. Celtics blow out the Heat by like 20, and then Champagne's part of the cleanup crew, and he's kind of a disaster. And then it gets down to like 10 with like a minute to go, and everybody starts freaking out, sphincters tightening, and then Hauser hits like a bomb from the logo and the game's over. But that's like what sticks out to me from the Champagne experience, is like he couldn't even handle cleanup crew. But great hair. So
true.
Great hair always helps. You've got to have something when you're at that end of the bench. All right, let's get to a quick word from our sponsor before we move on.
The CLNS Media Network is powered by FanDuel. Sign up at FanDuel.com/Boston and get in on the action with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed.
Oh, yeah. Baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/Boston to join today. Now, in typical first of the floor fashion, while you should absolutely and responsibly so go and bet on the very much ongoing baseball season, we got a couple of stats here from FanDuel with regards to the upcoming NBA season. Can you guys guess, either one of you, who the favorite is to win the NBA championship as per this very moment per FanDuel?
It's the Boston Celtics, isn't it?
Yes, because I have it written down on the run sheet. That's right. Amazing. Plus 470.
Okay.
Plus 470 to win the whole thing. Best overall odds, which is great. Scoot Henderson, plus 430. Not the overall favorite. I think ranked third behind Wemby and
Chet.
Thank you. I was going to say the skinny guy from OKC. Chet Holmgren. Thank you. Plus 430. That's a good bet. Again, gamble responsibly. But I don't think Wemby, and this is not a hot take, he's not going to play, I think, that many games this year as the Spurs trying to ramp him up to be who they hope he can be. Scoot at plus 430. I think I'm going to get on that. Any thoughts, guys?
I'm getting on Chet at plus 380. He's I'm like all aboard the Thunder hype train. I placed a bet. I think the Thunder are plus 7,000 to win the West. I think that they're going to. I think that hey, all they got to do is win like one series, and I can start hedging that to plus money. I think the Thunder are going to be really good. Like the only thing they were missing last year was like a center. They had other Jaylen Williams at 6'9" playing the big man role. Chet, I think, is going to be really good. I think he's going to be better than Wemby out the gates pretty easily. I think defensively, Wemby and Chet might be on the same level, but Chet's a far more ready to go offensive player, I think, than Wemby.
That's why I like the Scoot bet, because Rookie of the Year tends like six man to be an offensive award. I think both those guys will have a bigger impact than Scoot does on winning, but Scoot's going to get shots and he's going to get assists. And I think his box score numbers might look Yeah, maybe he won't get assists because I don't know who's going to be. Well, I guess if Dame isn't traded,
I was going to say, well,
then,
maybe he's not going to get shots.
yeah. But assuming Dame is traded somewhere or doesn't play, who knows? But I think Scoot's going to have the massive usage, which I think can go a long way to win a Rookie of the Year.
For
So
sure.
all three of those guys, you can't really go wrong.
Yeah. Brandon Miller might be like the value pick at 1,500 because everybody's kind of like off him now. But he talk about usage. I think him and LaMelo are gonna be a shot chucking masterclass by Brandon Miller and LaMelo.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to be interesting. Get on that, folks. In the meantime, let's get into the Schadenfreude report.
Schadenfreude.
The Sixers.
Schadenfreude.
The Lakers.
Schadenfreude.
The Heat.
Schadenfreude.
Milwaukee Bucks.
Schadenfreude.
Warriors.
Schadenfreude.
Oh, yes. It is our favorite off-season segment, the Schadenfreude report, where we celebrate the pitfalls and the misery and the disdain of our closest rivals. And we're going to start with the report. I am going to run another clip here from Shams. This is his report on the NBA memo to NBA teams.
The NBA sent a memo to its 30 NBA teams informing them that they have interviewed Damian Lillard and his agent Aaron Goodwin about his stance that he only wants to play in Miami, and the league advised both Lillard and Goodwin that any future comments of the sort, as far as him wanting to only play in Miami, will be potentially subject him to discipline, I'm told, in this memo, if those comments continue, as well as a warning to the NBPA that any future comments by players, their agents, that are similar to the ones as far as I only want to play for this specific team in a trade request, if that's made, that could also be subject to potential discipline as well. The NBA told its teams that they spoke to Goodwin, they spoke to Lillard, and that Goodwin essentially denied telling teams that he told them that he only that Lillard would only play in Miami. The NBA also spoke to other teams, and essentially they were given the messaging as well that Goodwin's statements were consistent for the most part. For the league to take the step of going and interviewing Damian Lillard, going and interviewing his agent, really informing them to essentially knock off any potential rhetoric about only wanting to be traded to Miami.
Thank you, Shams. Spoonie, why is
no,
this
don't
part
go
of
to
the
me.
Schadenfreude
This is Jake's.
I was trying to evenly distribute the rock.
No, it's
but,
fine.
Right.
I've been doing a lot of talking the last month.
Jake, why is this part of the Schadenfreude report?
One of my favorite parts of the offseason so far has been the Miami Heat Twitter versus the rest of NBA Twitter, and them being convinced that the world is out to get them and that their trade package is fair and that Dame should come play in Miami. It's been beautiful to see them do mental gymnastics about the Heat are the ones with the leverage, despite Portland being the team that can just not trade him and bring him into camp because he's got 4 years left on his deal. 4 years. Like, there's no imminent reason to trade him unless they want to. This is beautiful. Adam Silver, shout out, doing his best Stern impression of the Chris Paul veto back in the day. The every day that this goes by is a step closer to the Heat going into training camp with like a bare bones roster. Like the Heat can talk about how they have the leverage all they want, but if Portland doesn't do the deal, they keep Damian Lillard. If Miami doesn't do the deal, they are fucked. They've lost Caleb. They lost. I wish they lost Caleb Martin. They lost Gabe Vincent, and they lost Max Strus. If they don't replace them with anyone besides Josh Richardson, like the Devil Magic is like 66% of the way out the door with Gabe Vincent and Max Strus. The only remaining Devil on the team really is Caleb Martin. Like, if we can just, if they do get this trade done, he has to be gone. But every day that this trade doesn't happen is a step closer to the reality that the Heat have to face, where they've got this bare bones roster without Damian Lillard. So I still think that they end up getting Dame, but I'm really enjoying the entitlement of the Heat and just the pettiness, the emotion every day I'm seeing from these fans, quote unquote. of them just not being handed Damian Lillard on a silver platter and then being like, why is it us? Why, when Anthony Davis got traded, did they not, did the league not step in? Or why did the league not step in when Kevin Durant said that Phoenix was the only team he wanted to play for? Well, in the Phoenix situation, the Phoenix offered like one of the best trade packages that's like been offered in the history of the NBA within like a week of the trade request. And Anthony Davis never said he wouldn't play for anyone else. He just said he wouldn't re-sign anywhere. So the Heat doing all this mental gymnastics to say that like this is the why is Silver, why is the NBA coming down on the Heat when this has happened time and time again? This is a very unique situation. Like the Dame's agent and Dame have been like aggressively communicating that they won't play for any other team, or they will only want to be traded to the Heat. Like, I'm glad that the NBA is finally stepping in, because I do think it's bad for the league, where like these players are just taking these extensions and then 6 months later are demanding that they get traded to one specific team, and threatening to not play. So this is beautiful. Adam Silver, I appreciate you doing the Lord's work out here. Taking us closer to, because like we're running low on Eastern Conference contenders, as we'll get to, and this would really take us a step closer to there being one less.
How long until he shows up to training camp with his cell phone in his pocket, like Ben Simmons did? Remember, he was just like not paying attention. But yeah, I think the one concern is that it's a little too little. It's too little, too late from the NBA. It's like they've already made it known, right? Like you can't wipe everyone's memory away and just be like, just kidding, that didn't happen. He'll play for any 29 other teams. So I'm with you, Jake. I do think he's going to end up on the Heat, but the nice thing is that this puts a little pressure on Miami to up the offer. And I don't know if there's a world where they're worse off by trading for Dame Lillard, but they are going to completely undermine their future pretty aggressively.
Yeah. So Shams talked about the framework of a deal. And if you're watching on YouTube, where we're showing the screen cap here, so it'll be up to, between 3 and 4 first round picks, plus additional pick swaps, plus additional second round picks. Tyler Hero to another team because Portland / nobody wants him. Shipping out expiring contracts, plus excuse me, young players as well. Like I'm gonna mess up his name here, but Jaime Jaquez Jr. He just became trade eligible like today or yesterday or something. So that could be part of the holdup, because you would have to imagine he'd be part of that deal as well. So, all of this could come to a precipice in the next couple of days now that their recently drafted rookie is trade eligible. He looked great in Summer League. And it does feel, like you guys were saying, inevitable that he just does end up on the Heat. It does feel too little too late, like you said, Spoonie, that it's great for the league to step in here, but it feels like the deal's kind of like already done under the table. But it's not terrible, and this is in line with the Schadenfreude report, that the Heat have to absolutely gut themselves to get a 32 going on 33-year-old guard. We've seen this with money. we've seen this with Kemba Walker recently, where like as you ascend into your mid-30s, if you're undersized and your biggest strength is your speed and your athleticism and your bounce, and that includes like popping threes off of a screen where you need like bounce to like quickly get into your shooting stance and get your feet under you and pop up and get that shot, up and over the defender. It doesn't necessarily work out for players of that archetype going into their mid-30s. So to see the Heat gut themselves for a guy that, might only last half a season or so, and still be very beatable by a, please God, healthy Celtics team, I'm kind of for it. So either way,
okay, wow,
I'm loving what's going on with the Heat right now.
What's interesting is that like in the Shams clip yesterday where he talked about that offer, again, it was like, this is not the offer that the Heat even put forward yet. It's like, this is what the Heat could be putting forward. It's like, it's hard to get a read on who Shams is speaking for at this point, because throughout this whole process, Shams has clearly been a mouthpiece for the Heat, and Woj has been a mouthpiece for the Blazers. Where now it's like Shams was saying this is the deal that could potentially be put forward, kind of to me insinuating that like the Heat are still yet to put forward a deal that even looks anywhere close to this, which is why a deal hasn't happened. And Pat Riley is like Danny Ainge, right? Like he hates to lose a deal. And he and the Heat feel that they're bidding against themselves. So why would they bid against themselves? And that's what all of Heat Twitter seems to be thinking. But if you do any negotiation, the most powerful weapon in any negotiation is the willingness to walk away from the deal. I learned that on day one of negotiation skills in my second year of university, and I've never forgotten it. Because if the other team really wants to do the deal, and you're literally like, if the Blazers could choose a scenario, I think bringing Damian Lillard back is probably what they would choose. If you bring Dame back onto this team, they're probably in the mix again for like a fringe playoff seed, which the Blazers, that's what they want to do. They don't really care so much about winning a title. They want to sell tickets, maybe get an extra couple games of playoff revenue. And Dame gets them, I think I kind of like that team if you add Dame to it. So that's the most powerful part, like weapon in any negotiation. And if the Heat aren't willing to put forward that package, then why would the Heat do it? We really butchered the Jaime Hakwa's name in preparation of the draft. When I put him forward, I definitely called him like Jamie Jack. Yeah.
And I think it was with a French accent.
Yeah, it was. It was. He's like Mexico's like pride and joy in hindsight. So
I think pre-entry into the NBA name, you have to be subject to gross mispronunciation. So we're okay. We're fine. We've done worse as well on this podcast.
Yes.
Spoony, like interesting, like what Jake's saying there with the potential for Lillard to like actually just revert everything and go back to the Blazers. If Tatum, for example, Spoony did all of this posturing about like getting off the Celtics in a couple of years, say like they were a middling Orlando Magic style team at that point, and then decided, you know what? Actually, I think I'm good. I'm going to stay with the Celtics. Would you be open to welcoming him back at that point, or would the damage have been done from your perspective?
I don't think I would. I think at that point, if I was a fan of the Blazers, I would probably want them to get it over with and just start rebuilding, because they've been overdue for a rebuild for a couple of years now. The problem is they just signed Jeremy Grant to that obscene contract. So they're there's like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So I don't really know what they do. I think they're in a unique position where I don't really trust their management to oversee a rebuild, whereas I would trust Brad Stevens to do that. So I think it's a little different, but it would be, I mean, the second he hangs 50 on a team in like November, I'd be all back in. Like I wouldn't care at that point, but it would be tough. And if you're a middling team, like that sucks, dude. Like I'd rather be a rebuilding team.
Yeah, but they must have Stockholm syndrome at this point.
Yeah,
right?
true.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So Jake, like this is pretty much your segment. Let's be honest. We've been holding it down for you while you've been away. What else do you have for us that falls in line with the Schadenfreude report? I
really enjoyed the Woj and Shams notification that the Milwaukee Bucks have re-signed Thanasis Antetokounmpo, and also the fact that they signed Robin Lopez. So they're going for the brothers memes and the brothers posts they can put on the programs and stuff, because these are not moves to me that indicate you care about winning a championship. For a team like Milwaukee that's like absolutely desperate for rotation players that can play in the playoffs, because they have 4 of them, 4 players that can like close a playoff game at the highest level right now. And it's their big 4. It's Giannis, Middleton, Drew, and Lopez. And we've seen in the last 2 playoff runs that Grayson Allen can't close. Javon Carter was probably their best bet, and he left. Joe Ingles couldn't close. He left. And like Bobby Portis, the Celtics toast him every time he steps on the court. He's not a closing NBA player, especially with the roster construction of Brook Lopez and Giannis. You can't play that jumbo lineup. There's just not enough foot speed on the perimeter. So like when you're just throwing away roster spots for nepotism purposes, essentially, I get that like if it helps you re-sign Giannis by 0.1%, then you probably do the deal. But this is a waste of a roster spot, and for a team that's like absolutely desperate for someone that can play in the playoffs, I just think this is a win for the Celtics. Like, he's not doing anything. He's got the pom-poms out all season long.
Is he that bad though? Like, so Lopez, grouping them together, Lopez,
Yes.
Robin Lopez, and Thanasis as a 14th and 15th man, Spoonie, are they that terrible? Like, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Obviously, I'd love to shit on the Bucks, but
Thanasis, yes, is that terrible. He is so bad, but Robin's been like bounced around horrible teams for the last couple of years, so I haven't really seen him play a lot, but like he's not really cracked a rotation in a while. I tend to think there's probably a reason for that. He doesn't have, like, Brook really would not be a positive offensive player if he couldn't shoot threes, but he can. Well, Robin can't. So he's basically, you're playing 4-on-5 offensively. And I don't think he protects the rim or moves his feet well enough on defense to sort of bring positive value as a player. So yeah, as your 14th guy, I think you can do worse than Robin Lopez. I'm not sure you can do much worse than Thanasis. So, but yeah, Jake, spot on. They're not playing in the playoffs. Like,
Okay.
these guys are complete non-factors.
Ben, I appreciate, the devil's advocate point of view, and Bucks fans on Twitter, the 14th and 15th roster spots don't matter. Like, I guess the short answer to that is like, you're right, kind of, but you never know when you're going to hit on a Sam Hauser, a Gabe Vincent, a Max Strus. You never know. And if you're just throwing these spots away, you're never going to find out. Well, the flip side is you look at Brad Stevens. It's all about process over results. One of my favorite Brad Stevensisms. It's like, okay, is Delano Banton going to make the roster, and is he going to be any good? Probably not. But like the idea of signing a 23-year-old who like hasn't played that much, has upside, is 6'9", has like NBA skills, has played well in real NBA games, like that's a 14th. That's a guy I want on my 14th roster spot. That's the type of player that like maybe, he's still young enough. He has these little attributes that you kind of tick off. That you can talk yourself into, like, if things go right for this guy, he could become like a rotation player versus like you just have a bobblehead night for the Antetokounmpo brothers. Cool.
I think of it about it like it's like an RPG, and like would you want to take on like a plus 1% skill increase to like a fringe skill that doesn't like necessarily help you in your quests, or if you've got like a core skill, like this analogy is going off the rails.
Don't stop.
Like sword fighting, just to play within the realms of your typical RPG. Would you want like a plus 5% increase to that skill? And so you think about Giannis being sword fighting, your core skill. Wouldn't you want to bring in his brother to like properly enhance the effectiveness, the happiness, the pleasure of that core piece, rather than like taking a total gamble on like a Delano Banton, for example, instead of that? Like, wouldn't you rather sort of invest in what makes your team a winning team?
Let's call this other skill alchemy, right? So you're saying you want to invest in one-handed.
I've not played many RPGs,
yeah,
clearly.
You want to invest in one-handed, right? And then the Celtics are taking the alchemist route, right? But what if every 10th potion you make is worth a ton of money, right?
Yeah,
so
dude.
like, isn't that worthwhile? I would much rather like, okay, yeah, maybe its day-to-day functionality isn't as good as the one-handed skill, but look, if I could sell a potion and all of a sudden that's going to make all of my skills way better because it's going to give me a bunch of money. So I think like that's the approach you got to take if you're, and that's why I always in Skyrim go alchemy, because you can make a lot of money.
Give me a year. I'll go play more RPGs and I'll come back. I'll circle back next offseason with this analogy. I'll have it more fine-tuned, man.
I think the reality is the process that the Bucks have used here is like wrong as far as team building goes. So, but because Giannis likes his brother, it is kind of helpful from that perspective. But like from an actual winning a championship this next coming season, signing Thanasis to the 15th spot is the wrong choice versus like signing someone that could actually help. So like in that next upcoming season where the Celtics are trying to beat the Bucks for a title, this basically just gives us a 0% chance that one of their last roster spots can hurt us in a playoff game. Versus, who knows? Delano Banton, game 3, Derek White misses a game, comes in, 12 assists. Who knows?
No. Maybe, I hope so, but probably not. All right, what else? What other Schadenfreude points have you got for us before we move on to the Jays appreciation segment?
Well, so this is, slightly
best
old.
one.
Yeah, you guys, hopefully not everybody's seen this yet, but Joel Embiid got married a couple weeks ago now. Congratulations to the big fella. That's the only ring he's getting his hands on anytime soon, to just make a terrible Twitter joke. But interestingly, who was at the wedding? You had George Niang, Maxey, Sam Hinkie was at the wedding. I learned from listening to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. But you know who wasn't at the wedding? James Harden and someone else who at the end of this video, if you look closely, and he had a far more important, pressing matter to attend to on the night of Joel Embiid's wedding. Take a look here. Yes, that was PJ Tucker in the last second there, and I don't know those eyeballs. I don't know what PJ Tucker's doing in the offseason.
Well, first of all, can you describe what was happening to the podcast?
Oh, sure, of course. So James Harden at nightclub that I don't know the name of, picking up 4 free burgers from a man carrying around a tray of burgers. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 burgers. We can't know for sure if they were all for himself or if they were for some friends back at whatever fancy table that he was partying at. And then the last second of the video, you get PJ Tucker with pupils the size of saucers, videoing these burgers and looking so happy to be receiving a free burger despite being paid $11 million to do his job. But yeah, so not only is James Harden not at the wedding, but he's clearly locked in on his off-season programming, sweating, eating burgers, and partying as he always is. But this is just like the Sixers may as well not even lace him up for the next season, because this is over.
What do you got, Spooty? Anything?
I mean, you just love to see it. You really do. I almost kind of respect Harden because he has to know what people say about him, and the audacity, the ability to just not care and be seen eating a bunch of cheeseburgers in a club. It's he knows people talk about his weight, he has to, and his partying habits, and he's diving headfirst into both after an incredibly rocky season where we almost forget because the Dame stuff, he asked for a trade too. It's insane, man. It's crazy.
This is why the Schadenfreude report exists. Because of deep cuts like this that kind of mean nothing. Probably he was just getting burgers for his mates back at his little cordoned off table there, and he was like, you know what? I'll go get them. Someone will record this, and some shithouse Celtics podcast will talk about it a week from now, and it'll be great. And that's exactly what's happening. This is why the Schadenfreude report exists. Yeah. Go ahead.
I think he could be going Galaxy Brain. He's like, I'll bring out the fat suit again. You saw the fat suit that I brought out when I was trying to get traded from Houston, and that worked. That got him sent straight to Brooklyn. And so he is a free agent. So we'll see how much he is willing to tank his value going into a contract year. But I'm excited to see it.
I'm excited to see it as well. I'm excited to see what happens, both with the Heat, with the Dame situation, and with the Sixers moving forward. And the Schadenfreude report, we're going to be pumping that throughout the offseason. And so, all those outcomes matter greatly for what's next for that segment. We're going to move on to the Jays appreciation. That's the thumbnail for this podcast. It's the meat of this podcast. It's like the lords that we worship in our lives. I think the Jays, and swinging back to Jake here, who's back fresh face from a holiday. I think it sounds like you put this segment forward, Jake, as like this is what we should run with on this podcast. And so to me, that's like you went away, you had like a sort of spiritual time away, and you spent a lot of time thinking about the Jays and just how awesome they are and how much we love them. So I'll throw to you to kick off this segment.
I mean, that's pretty much exactly what happened. But
Yeah.
I feel like this came up kind of in the context of Jaylen signing this, the richest contract in NBA history. And I don't know, the sentiment on the future of the Celtics feels kind of split a little bit at the moment. Like I would say for the most part, it's been positive, but I would say there's still a pretty, I don't know if it's a vocal minority with Jaylen and like kind of the future of the Celtics and their chances of winning a ring. But yeah, no, it was just a night in Albania getting ready for bed and had a couple of drinks for dinner. And, Tatum's doing this camp. And I'll just run this clip because, I mean, it comes with the emotional music, which I'm pretty sure we're not going to get pinged for on copyright because I think it's an original song, but whatever,
From the same place, the same rec center, we walk the same streets. That with the right mindset and the right focus, and if you dream big enough, you can do it.
What a guy!
And like you read the caption, and it's like growing up, all I ever wanted to be was a hero to my city, and like. Whoever put that video clip together got me good. And I was just reflecting. I'm like, I mean, you guys have kids, and I kind of brought this up when Abby came on and kind of lost the point of it. But like, Jaylen and Jayson are the closest thing I have to children so far in my life. And hopefully in my future that I have a real human child.
A real NBA player child.
I mean, look,
that'd be nice.
My dad's side, he's 6'4", did not translate to the 5'7" Jake. So look, it's not impossible that I get a Jayson Tatum of my own one day. But like when these guys came into the league, right? Like to see them now running their own camps, like the Tatum Elite Camp, where it's his camp, and Bradley Beal, Chris Paul, Paolo Banchero, they are like the support acts to Jayson Tatum's elite camp. Jaylen Brown just signs the richest contract in NBA history, and he's talking about starting the Black Wall Street in Boston and taking the Celtics to a new level on the court and off the court. And like I just wanted to appreciate the likelihood or the low chance of the Jaylen and Jayson turning into both like the players that they have become, but also the people that they've become off the court. Like, you look at an offseason where John Morant is suspended for 25 games, or Zion Williamson is dealing with, I mean, his own
drama.
His own reality TV show. Health. These are, touching wood, two of the healthiest stars in the NBA. We could have drafted Josh Jackson and Chris Dunn. We could have drafted Lonzo Ball and Dragan Bender. Like, these decisions are so unlikely to have made these calls, and for them to then grow into like an MVP candidate, multiple time All-Star, second team All-NBA, and to have these two guys locked up now for the next half decade. I think you have to appreciate how lucky of a position that the Celtics find themselves in as fans. Like, we are now perennial contenders for the next half decade, off top of being perennial contenders for the last half decade. Like 25 plus other teams would switch spots with the Celtics in a half beat. And, I've got some stats here we can touch on after, but like, I don't know, I had a big moment of appreciation of the types of humans that we've got that we get to root for, and the types of players that we get to root for.
Having high picks is terrifying, right? Because like you just listed off some names that could have been a disaster, and there's many, many more riddled amongst those guys that could have been terrible. So the fact that you compare these two together for this long, and they seemingly, I mean, Jaylen has had maybe a I don't want to say rocky. That's probably a little strong, but you know, the relationship with the fan base isn't always perfect. Like he got booed when he got drafted, was not a hot start. But I think after that interview where he's talking about investing in Boston, like specifically, he's from Atlanta. He could take that money and go make Black Wall Street in Atlanta, but that's not what he was talking about. He was specifically talking about doing it in Boston. And then like Tatum, I mean, what more can you say about this dude? Like I'm sure he's got some skeletons in his closet like everybody does, but man, he is absolving them just about the best ways you possibly could. I mean, both these guys are just like great humans and excellent basketball players, and it does not get much better than that when you're trying to root for two people. Like really, it's awesome.
Yeah, and a huge part of shipping out Marcus Smart and Grant Williams was like who were going to be these vocal leaders, in training camp, in practice, on the court during games for the Celtics. And I don't think we have the clip uploaded, Jake, but there was a recent clip of Tatum like talking in his camp about load management. And even just regardless of the subject of his speech there, just the way he was delivering it in contrast to how he spoke publicly in the first 3 years of his career. This guy is confident. He knows who he is. He is very sort of I want to say aligned with his chakras, even though it's not how I think or talk. Like he clearly knows who he is. He has a lot of confidence in himself. As far as his role in society, his role on the team, his role in the community. And as much as I never wanted to see Marcus Smart be shipped out, I do think both of these guys are poised to sort of fill those shoes, as well as hold up, from the talent and production standpoint on the court that they've been giving us for many years now. So just the Jays, I appreciate them so much. Who they are as people off the court just makes rooting for them so much more interesting. And I think for years on this podcast, and I'm sure fans all over the place can relate to this, the idea of seeing Marcus Smart hoist the championship trophy over his head was just undeniably enticing. But the way that these guys are evolving as people and the way that they are sort of letting us in and giving us glimpses, into who they are, it just you see the path ahead of you as far as a fan's perspective of okay, where do we go from here? How do we invest emotionally? And it's clear in just who these guys are as people. So I can't wait for the season to start.
I know, still a long way to go, but yeah, it's the on-court production of two guys that are 25 and 26 on top of all the human stuff. Since Tatum's rookie year, Tatum is 4th in playoff wins in the NBA. Jaylen is 6th. That's more than playoff wins than Steph, Jimmy, Giannis, and Jokic. These guys have the fact that they haven't actually won a ring with how many playoff games they've won is why we're all going to die 5 to 10 years earlier than we should have, because the last couple of years have been absolutely so stressful to get through. But then I was having a look at all-time playoff wins and points. Tatum has the 7th most playoff wins all time before age 26. Jaylen is 9th.
Crazy.
This one's crazy though. Tatum has the 2nd most playoff points all time before turning 26. Jaylen's 8th, but 2nd most playoff points all time before turning 26. The only person ahead of him is Kobe Bryant. So it's
more than LeBron. More than LeBron. That's insane.
This is quoting Stat News, by the way. So if one to give them credit, and 2 if they're wrong, that's on them. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's correct. And so that's just an absurd amount of success for guys that haven't entered their prime yet. And I feel like they get dinged because of the amount of success they've had. It's these guys, for dumb NBA commentators or fans or whatever, that they're chokers or don't live up to expectations. They have only exceeded expectations for guys that are 25 and 26 at this point. And that's really the only take to have.
Yeah, and someone who would be hugely impactful on their ability to be successful this year. This is a bit of a pivot. Sam Hauser. Now, No, but seriously though, like his Sam Hauser's ability to space the floor and allow the Jays to operate as an elite kick out option. We saw it in snippets last season. Like cannot be understated. And Spoonie, folks, if you're watching on YouTube, the headline for Spoonie's article on Celtics blog is on screen right now. And let me just preface this with the opening couple of paragraphs here. So, opportunities to change your life or your career don't come around that often, but they're usually different than the movies. Very rarely are our own lives defined by one big make or break choice of which the fate of you, your family, or sometimes the world depends on. Instead, those opportunities play out over weeks, months, and years. The first year law student walking into their very first contracts class, the apprentice electrician showing up to their first job site, the band Real Big Fish stepping into the studio to record the seminal album Turn the Radio Off. Sam Hauser sits on the precipice of such an opportunity. Despite being undrafted, he's made his way into an NBA contract. He's joined the Celtics on tour. He just needs to become a full-time member of the band. So first of all, go and read that article because it's great. I've read it twice, once for pleasure, once in preparation for this podcast. Spoonie, just to summarize your article, what does Sam Hauser need to do to become a full-time band member for the Celtics?
Real quick, I'll explain the Real Big Fish reference quickly. The last thing I wrote was I used Game of Thrones to explain something, and Celtics blog tweeted it out and was like, next week we'll be talking about 90s ska bands. Real Big Fish is a 90s nice. Ska band, so I just snuck that in. It's like a deep cut for my own purposes.
I can't say I know who.
They rock, dude. Check Real Big Fish out. Okay. Yeah, they rule.
Great live jam band.
Yeah. Anyway, so Sam Hauser, we were 1.7 points per 100 better with Sam Hauser on the court last year. The offense got 3 points per 100 possessions worse when he played. So we were better because we defended better with Sam Hauser. He had one of the best defensive ratings on the team. Now, I think we're probably due for some regression on that side of it. But you got to think like the offensive side should, considering his primary skill set is offensively, should come up. And I think part of the reason is how one-dimensional he was as a player last year. 307 of his 400 field goal attempts were 0 dribble threes. So 3/4 of his shots were 0 dribble threes. So I basically was just saying, like, here's two very easy ways he can have a bigger effect on the offense and and offset what will probably be some defensive regression. And that's like one dribble relocation threes like Duncan Robinson does all the time. And then he finished at 80% around the rim last year. So it was actually really good when he got there. You just never got there. So just be a little more aggressive with the drive, man. Trust your finishing, trust your soft touch. You're great from the foul line. Like you're going to get fouled sometimes. So just like two small things. And then he can absorb some of those Grant Williams roles. I expect him to be up around 25 minutes a game, but we don't have another wing off the bench. I mean, who's playing? He's the only one.
Yeah, that's the thing. And Jake, I'll let you go in a second. But we cut Champagny. We've got this extra roster, salary cap space rather. Like I'm all for the Hauser first wing off the bench thing, but like we do need a backup here, and I do hope that they fill that roster spot with a backup wing. But Hauser also an underrated cutter, which is like, yes, I don't know, maybe he's properly rated because like that's what you need to be good at if you're like not very fast, not very big, a white guy, like you need to be a good cutter, and he is very, very good at that. So yeah, I'm excited. I hope that Joe has read your article, Spoonie, and I hope that he, sort of factors that into his rotation in the upcoming season. What do you got, Jake?
I love Sam Hauser, and I love that we just have the Sam Hauser hype train. Just like we're going supersonic. We're breaking the sound barrier with this train. By the time the season starts, it's going to be like, will he be a fringe all-star? Will he?
Corver made it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Will he be in the 3-point contest? That's probably our goal. Is can we get Sam Hauser in the 3-point contest? It is still a travesty that Sam Hauser did not play in the playoffs, especially the Hawks series. But I also think that he matched up really well with Philly. Like coming into the Hawks series, I was like, this is a Hauser series. He can hold up defensively, and then you can't hide Trae Young on him because as you said, Ben, he moves without the ball. I have a few clips here. We can talk over it because there's no sound. But his defense against Philly from the regular season game where there was no Rob and no Horford. Luke really cooked us on these two clips here. How's a great screen navigation on Harden, and then Luke helps, and then helps again.
Zero need to help on that either.
Like just did not need to. And then locks up Maxey 1v1 after navigating a screen again. And then moving off the ball, taking advantage of someone like Harden who's terrible with off-ball defense, splash. Never in doubt. And then again, Harden kind of got caught ball watching Luke Cornett, and then Hauser splashes a three. And in this play, Trae Young tries to fight through a litany of screens, gets lost. Sam Hauser, bang, splash. Like, it just did not make any sense to me that he was not playing in the rotation in the Hawks series and again in the Sixers series, because I think what it gives you offensively for a team that has off, that's their issue in the playoffs. I thought he really could have helped. In 3 games versus the Hawks last season, he averaged 17 points per game. Now, on 68% from 3. Now, the point total is kind of buoyed by the last game of the regular season. If you remember, that was also the game that Peyton Pritchard had a 30-point triple-double. Sam Hauser, I think, went 9 for 14 from 3 in that game. I saw the box score, and I was like, why do I not remember this game more vividly? And then I went back, and I was like, oh, it was the last game.
It didn't matter. Yeah.
It didn't matter. But his percentage... It mattered to us, but his percentage from 3 against the Hawks actually went up if you exclude the 9 for 14 game, because he was that lights out against the Hawks. And in that Philly game, he was 14 points and 8 rebounds because he needed him to rebound because there was no Robber now. 4 for 4 from 3. Those are two of our bigger, Eastern Conference rivals. And then also the game where the Celtics almost beat the Bucks when there was half the Celtics roster was out. He was also crucial in that game as well. He had proved that he could hang against 2 of the biggest Eastern Conference rivals team plus our first round opponent. The fact that he got, chained to the bench for the playoffs was really rough. And, Grant goes out, Hauser steps up. That kind of is the obvious move going into next season. And I saw some people talking about rebounding. I forget if I've ran through these stats already just because it's been a while since I've been on, but Grant, 8.6 rebounds per 100 possessions. Hauser, 7.5 rebounds per 100 possessions. Kind of a negligible difference. The biggest difference is going to be the offensive impact of Hauser versus Grant. As good as Grant was percentage-wise from 3, Grant played 2,045 minutes last season, which is a lot more than I kind of thought before I checked.
4th on the team. 4th.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Our memories of Grant, getting DMPs doesn't really match up with how much he played last season.
Yeah.
But Grant took 291 3-pointers last season, 40%. Hauser only played 1,290 minutes. He got up 335 threes and shot 42%. He shot 40 more threes than Grant in 700 less minutes.
Well, he also missed every 3 between January and March.
Yeah, dude.
As well.
Yeah.
And still shot over 40%,
yes.
which is insane.
That was the whole team that missed every 3 in November though. So that was a team-wide issue. And then turnovers, one of our Achilles heel in the playoffs. Grant, 2 turnovers per 100 possessions. Hauser, 1.1 turnovers per 100 possessions. And that's because he doesn't dribble. As Spoony alluded to earlier, 0 dribble threes. And that was something that how many times we're yelling at the TV screen, Grant, just shoot the ball. Just shoot the ball. In that game that the Celtics almost beat the Bucks with their bench, the last play of the game, Grant had an open 3 and he pump faked and dribbled off his foot. Turnover, game lost. Hauser shoots that. No question, gets it off. And he may make or miss, but to quote Eric Spoelstra in the playoffs, mic'd up, shots on goal, shots on goal, shots on goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Go check out the Spoonie write-up on
it's really good.
There on CelticsBlog.com. It's
guys.
great, as all Spoonie write-ups, and you can see it if you log on to CelticsBlog.com. As I talk like a 90s internet person, log on to CelticsBlog.com. You can see it there.
Get on AOL.
Right. Yeah. Dial up. It's there under it's in the right-hand column under must read or most read rather. You can see the first article there is Spoonie's article on Sam Hauser. Go check it out. Moving on to miscellaneous news before we wrap up here. Danilo Gallinari made some headlines today, at least on my Twitter feed. And this is from his A Cresta Alta podcast. Quote, I can't wait to play against Boston. And forgive me for not doing the Italian accent. When the schedule will be unveiled, I'll put an X on the games we play at Boston against the Celtics. Spoonie, what's the deal here? Like, did we not treat this guy extremely well? Did we not harbor his recovery after he tore his ACL in a non-NBA game? What's the deal?
Every time he posted on Instagram, it was just like Clovers and we love you. Hope you get healthy. Sorry for paying you $6 million to rehab an injury we had nothing to do with. Didn't he do it when he was playing for Italy too? Like, what do you want from us? Like, you got traded, Danilo. You're 37 with a serious injury. Like, it's going to happen, buddy. Sorry. So I don't get it, but I guess he's just hurt because he really wanted to be a Celtic.
I can't believe Danilo Gallinari has a podcast. I guess we have a podcast, so he's as qualified as anyone.
Arguably much more qualified.
to talk about basketball on a podcast. I wonder if this was in Italian or not, because Cresta Alta, that sounds like it could be Italian. So shout out to whoever transcribed this one. But what the hell, Gallo? I will say the last time he played the Celtics, didn't he have like 38 points?
He lit us up, yeah.
So that's fine. If he wants to, if that's his revenge, you get up 12-3. He'll be playing for the Wizards, so we'll see. If he's able to even get any shots up with Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma on the team, like if there's any other scraps to go around. But yeah, that was a weird one. We were as excited as anybody to have Danilo on the team. So whatever.
Yeah, we played the song on the podcast. We were hyped. Like, everyone wanted it to be a thing. Like, I'm sorry it didn't happen. I'm sorry you were injured. No one wanted it to go that way. And then, like, we traded Grant Williams, right, for salary cap reasons. So we were
Marcus Smart.
much more. Yeah, Marcus Smart. Thank you. We were so much more attached to those guys than you, Danilo. So, like, I apologize that you were a symptom of this CBA situation. And Spoonie and I talked about, like, where does the new CBA rank in, like, things that have, like, fucked the Celtics in the past 10 years? And it was number 1. So I'm sorry. We've got bigger issues to deal with here. So, you're getting paid millions of dollars. We gave you a haven in which to recover from your injury. And we've sent you somewhere where you'll arguably have more playing time. So, like, kind of fuck you, Danilo Gallinari. I don't know what else to say. Like, I'm annoyed.
The best doctors and hospitals in the country, man. Like, come on, Danilo.
Very frustrating and way out of left field. All right, let's end on this. So Derek White was on NBA today, and I'm going to truncate some of the quotes here. What about this one? Quote, I love being here in Boston. It would be cool to get an extension, White said when asked if he'd like to get a deal done before the season starts. Quote, we'll see what happens during that window, but I've loved my time in Boston so far, and my focus right now is just on the season. Like, the interview's on YouTube. Go check it out. And he talks about how, like, the starting point guard role was a natural fit, and the addition of Kristaps Porzingis is only going to make his job easier, and he's really looking forward to it, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. We'll throw now to the world's leading expert on Derek White, Jake Eisenberg, fresh back from Albania. Did you have a chance to catch the interview? What do you think about these quotes from Derek White?
Bald Buffalo. No, I wasn't able to find it, but I saw the quotes earlier. Offer the extension as soon as he's eligible. 3 years, 90 million, 30 million a year is, like, in today's NBA, or by the time that extension kicks in, 30 million is going to be nothing. The Fred VanVleets of the world making 43, Jeremy Grant making 40 or whatever, 35, whatever he's making. Like you could make an argument that Derek shouldn't take the extension, because if he's able to get to free agency, he'll be making like 40 million a year. He does strike me as the type of dude that, like, if you offer him a 3 for $90 million contract, he's going to be like, yes, I'll take that immediately, because he just likes to hang out with his kid Hendricks and just hoop. And so you kind of need to make sure that this guy's locked up, because I think I would say that he's probably more important to keep around than Porzingis because you need to make sure you've got like a legitimate point guard to run the team going forward because it's going to be pretty much impossible to find someone in free agency because of how much the Jays will be making. And having a look at the salary cap stuff, it does seem like you'll still be able to have Jayson because that'll be the first year that Jason's Supermax contract kicks in. Jayson, Jaylen, KP, Rob, Derek. And if he's making 30 million, that leaves like another 30 million of like for the rest of the roster, which is not a lot, obviously. But that still leaves space for, the first round pick from the Warriors, the first round pick that the Celtics own of their own. That core locked up. I don't care who else is on the roster. I know you guys spoke about like that being screwing over the Celtics. The CBA is like one of the biggest things. By the time we get there, a lot of teams are going to be feeling that crunch as well. And that's going to like kind of maybe really level the playing field because the Celtics will have this core intact. And so for other teams to match up to that level of talent could be quite difficult because like KP for 30 million and Derek for 30 million will actually kind of be cheap in the NBA in 25, 26. So get it done immediately.
Yeah, I think average starter money is like 20, a little more than 20 right now. And yeah, exactly. That's going to be average starter money in 2-3 years. And Derek White is much better than an average starter. So that's a positive contract the second he signs it. And he's older than you kind of think, but he doesn't have a ton of miles on him because he played, like D2 basketball for most of his college career. And then was kind of on those funky deep Spurs team. And it's not like he was racking up like 37 minutes a night. They weren't ever making the playoffs really. So like, I think he'll age pretty gracefully as well. It probably means you got to pick between White and Brogdon. In my opinion, that is not a choice. That is a very simple choice. That is Derek White 10 times out of 10. So yeah, sign him up. He's aerodynamic with the bald head.
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna be the point guard. We saw that one run when he was the point guard when Smart was out, and he outplayed Marcus Smart last year as the starting point guard. So I'm excited to see it. I think he's gonna have a monster year. We're joking about Hauser borderline all-star. Derek White might actually be a borderline all-star next year.
Yes.
Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah. All right. Let's wrap up on that. That is going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back on Thursday night with Green Runs Deep as advertised, Celtics superfan and social media influencer. And we're going to do that as part of our Get to Know the Celtics media series, which I think will be part 4 at this point. Really looking forward to that one. Next week, we're back with live Celtics trivia. So make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel so you can jump in as a live audience member on that one. Spoonie, Jake, love your work, guys. Until next time, go Celtics.